Hi everyone, welcome to my channel and welcome back. I'm Jeannie and we're jumping straight into this mani using the Starlights Volume 1 collection from Sea and Designer Dips. And the first color I'm going to be using is Turquoise Starlight. Now, I don't know what it is, but I am really into jellies this year and they were never really my thing, but these just aren't your average jelly. So they are jelly dip powders, but they have the most gorgeous shimmer to them. But I love the balance because they're not really overpowering, and just wait till you see them. They are just so beautiful. And I love because they're jellies, you know, the more dips you do, you can build up the opacity if you want it a little more opaque. But I love the kind of sheerness of them mixed with the shimmer of them. I think Starlight's collection is really a great name for them. And the fact that they named it Volume 1 makes me really excited because there's got to be a Volume 2 coming at some point. So I'm super excited to see what other colors they do with this. Hopefully they do, but generally when they have Volume 1, that means there are other volumes coming. And I may be dating myself, but this whole collection gives me like the jelly sandals vibe. So I used to wear jelly sandals back when I was growing up, and I love how nostalgic it is because they kind of have that same vibe of like the jelly-ish with a little bit of glitter, and it's just so fun. And then of course, because these colors are summery to me, like I find them very summerish, I decided to do a little bit of nail art as well. So I saw a tutorial posted by Nailzkatkat on how to draw a hibiscus flower. And I was always intimidated because it looks really difficult, but the way she broke it down kind of helped it click in my mind. So I decided to give it a try, and I am so glad I did. So stick around for that and we'll do some nail art as well. So I finished with my first layer and dusted off the excess powder so you can really see the jelly quality of these dips now that I've dusted off the excess powder. I do want it to stay in that jelly look, so I'm only going to stick with 2 layers of each color. So I'm going in with my second layer, applying my dip base, and then I will dip into Turquoise Starlight. The next color I'm going to be using is Candy Starlight, which is like a hot pink jelly dip, but it does have the same shimmer in it. So the whole collection has the same beautiful shimmer in it. And there is actually a purple in this collection, but I intentionally made myself not use it because you know I wanted to, but I wanted to branch out and at least use some different colors. And I'm definitely glad I picked these two because I love the way they pair together. And even on their own, they're just such beautiful colors. So similar to Turquoise Starlight, I'm going to do 2 dips of this color, and it's going to go on my index finger. And you see that I'm pouring over for my first layer, and that's just because the jars are so full. But for my second layer, I can dip in the jar. I just want to make sure that I don't spill my dip powder everywhere, so I just rather pour over for the jars that are so full. These dips look a little opaque when you first dip or pour over in my case, but once you dust off the excess powder, that's when you really see that jelly quality, that sheerness. So don't let it fool you when you first dip. It isn't actually as opaque as it looks when you first dip. So now I'm going to go in with my second and final layer of Candy Starlight. And really it's when I apply my dip base that you really start to see that sheerness, that jelly-like quality of these dip powders. And as I'm looking at this, recording my voiceover, These colors are actually giving me sea glass vibes, especially the Turquoise Starlight. It's got that sea glass like quality to it, which I kind of really like the way it looks matte. So let me know down below in the comments how you feel about these dip powders in matte form. Do they give you sea glass vibes as well? I may have to do a mani with some other colors and leave them matte just to see that kind of quality of them. But of course I used my dip top coat, so I went glossy because that's by default. I typically always do glossy. It's very rare that I do matte. It's really a texture thing for me, but I think these are calling to be matte. Now for my middle and ring finger, I'm going to be doing an ombre French tip, and I'll be using French Pink 2.0, which is their reformulated version of their French Pink. And that's going to be for the base clear, in quotation marks, of my nail where there isn't the color. So I like this because I mean, I don't mind using clear as like the base, but I like using a sheerer like French Pink, French Peach type color because it's a little blurring. So any imperfections, it kind of hides that. I like that little bit of color, that little hint of color. So I applied a full layer of dip base to my entire nail. I'm dipping my brush into the Candy Starlight, and I'm just tapping on my free edge, starting at my free edge. I'm moving my finger from side to side to make sure I get the sides, and then once I've got that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm using this little spoon to dip into my French Pink, and I'm just going to pour over onto the rest of my nail. And the reason I'm using the spoon is because these shimmers in the Starlight collection are so fine. I don't want to contaminate my whole jar with the French Pink. No, with the glitter. So I'd rather just use a little bit, and that way I can just dump it rather than pouring over and losing a lot more of that French Pink, if that makes sense. So I'm going to do the same thing. My ring finger is actually going to be Turquoise Starlight. Now for the fun part of the hibiscus flowers, I'm going to be using the CN Designer Dips gel liner. This is L1, which is the white, and I'm just applying a little bit of that to my palette. So once I've got the gel liner on my palette, I'm going to go ahead and use a dotting tool, and I'm going to draw 5 a little bit larger dots in a circle around my nail, but I want to make sure they're spread far enough apart because I'm going to do dots next to them. So I need to make sure that they stay separate and distinct. Well, as much as I could. This is my first try, so it's not perfect. They do kind of blend together a little bit. But for my first try, I'm really happy with the way these turned out. And you don't really notice as much the further away. It's just, you're more critical of your own work and you're looking at it more closely when it's your own fingers. So once I've got those 5 dots in a circle, I'm going to take my dotting tool again, and then I'm going to do smaller dots on either side of those larger dots, if that makes sense. And they kind of bleed together a little bit, but I think it's passable enough to where I'm happy with the way that turned out. But when I try again, which I will try again, I want to make them a little more distinct. So I feel like I should have put the smaller dots just a tad, just like a hair away from the larger dots, just so they didn't blend together as much. But you can kind of sort of maybe see where the hibiscus flower is coming together. But anyway, once I have those 2 dots on each side of the larger dots, that's when I'm going to take the liner, and then using just that gel from the dots, I'm going to draw 3 lines. So from either side of the small dots, I'm going to draw like the longer lines kind of tapering towards the center of that circle. And then from the larger dot in the middle, I'm going to draw a smaller, shorter line, kind of drawing them all together towards the center of the nail. And this was, a little bit tricky, but I think I got kind of the gist of it. And then I'm going to draw a dot in the center of that circle to kind of tie the lines together. And then I'm just going to draw a line down away from the flower, and then 3 dots on the side of the little, I don't think it's a stem. I don't know what you call that thing in the center of the hibiscus flower, but anyway, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to let you watch me do my next finger. I cured my flowers for a full 60 seconds, and these gel liners cure without a tacky layer, so I don't have to worry about wiping it first. So I'm going to go in with my final layer of activator and let that dry for a full 2 minutes. And I should also mention, I'll leave the tutorial down below in the description for Nailzkatkat on how she did the step-by-step on the hibiscus flowers. If you've always been intimidated by drawing them, I highly recommend trying that because it helped me so much. So now I'm going in with my final layer of dip top coat. I'm applying it in 2 to 3 really quick swipes on each nail. I'm making sure to wipe my brush on a lint-free wipe in between each nail before I return my brush to the bottle. And then once I'm done with my 5th nail, then I'll go straight in with my 2nd layer of dip top coat. As always, I'm going to finish off my mani by rehydrating my cuticles with my Scales of Mermaid Cuticle Oil. This is in the scent What's the Scoop, and I'm super excited to break this one out because this is a summertime staple for me. Because this mani gives me like the summertime vibes, I really wanted to use this scent, and I absolutely love like the fruity sherbet type scent. So if you're looking for that kind of scent, this is definitely a must-have in your collection. And I am an ambassador for Scales of Mermaid, so you can use my ambassador code Jeannie10 to save 10% off your orders. So that wraps up today's video, and apparently I'm skipping spring and jumping straight into summertime. But thanks for hanging out with me. I hope this video was helpful. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, I'd appreciate it if you gave this video a thumbs up. It lets me know to continue creating content like this, and it also helps YouTube recommend me to others, which helps grow my channel. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing. I upload content every Monday and Thursday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. As always, I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.